What's going on today, Internet? I got another video for you here today, and we're outside at the beer table, and you're probably wondering, well, what, are we doing another beer review? No, today, for you tech people, we're going to be reviewing this. It's the Asus Strix GL553VE. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this bad boy. Stay tuned. Alright, so today I got one of these to play with. This is a GL553V from Asus. It's the Republic of Gamers series. It's specifically the part of their Strix Gaming line. It's a gaming laptop with an i7-7700HQ. It's got 16 gigs of DDR4. It's got a 4 gig 1050 Ti in it. It has a 256 gig M.2 SATA drive in it, and it has a 1 terabyte mechanical platter drive. Included with the laptop is also 802.11ac. It also has Bluetooth. It also has a multi-DVD drive, which is kind of old school, but whatever. Sometimes you wish you had it, sometimes you don't. Personally, I wish they would have taken it out and put a little bit bigger battery, but we're going to go into that in a little bit. Now, the terabyte laptop is only 5,400 RPM, so it's a little bit on the slow side, but it seems to be just fine for this application, specifically for the price of this laptop. All right, and this laptop also has a full 1080 display, which is actually nice. Now, I did calibrate it with my Color Monkey, and I was very surprised. The default color settings on this particular one, I can't speak for all of them because each panel is a little bit different. The default settings on this actually were pretty close to calibrated. Granted, it did knock the saturation back a bit and it brought out a little bit of color detail in the shadows, but you know, that's what calibration is going to do. It wasn't a night and day difference to the untrained eye, but for me, it's definitely a pretty good screen up front. Now, I know the RGB coverage isn't very high on this, and I know the Adobe RGB coverage isn't very high, but still, this panel actually is pretty darn good. So let's go ahead and dive into this bad boy. First and foremost, we got to give it up to Asus for their packaging job. I really like this little flip-out protected cover here with the Republic of Gamers logo on it. And then inside here you have your laptop and a little sleeve, which is also shining right in the face with the Republic of Gamers logo. Now in here you will have half of a power adapter, user's manuals, and another half of your power adapter. That power adapter, for any of you wondering, is this honkin' beast. Now I know this isn't super big, but compared to what I'm used to, this is a fairly large power brick, and it's got some heft to it. So if you're thinking of a mobile gaming setup, got to kind of factor all these things in. So this is pretty hefty. We're gonna go ahead and just chuck that in there for now, since that's all I have to say about the power brick. Now this laptop is a little bit understated, which I like. And by understated, I mean it's not a stealth bomber looking thing with a billion different exhaust ports on it and obscene finishes and all sorts of crazy crap on it. It's very, very subdued, and I prefer that in a laptop. So here on the back of the laptop, you'll see the Republic of Gamers logo and the orange strips. Also on the bottom, you've got 4 orange feet, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You also have orange speakers in the front, orange USB ports, and the exhaust on the bottom is also orange. So they really carried through with the orange design aesthetics with the black the whole time. Now the top is a brushed aluminum top. It's black. It's got not really the greatest build quality on it, but you know, it's thin enough. It does its job and it protects the screen. There's a little bit of flex, but not a whole lot for a laptop in this price range. Now all of this on the back does light up, and as I've said before, the keyboard is multi-zone RGB, so we're gonna go ahead and power this bad boy up right now. And we're ready. It's just that quick. This board does support NVMe, but if you know anything about the drives, NVMe really isn't super useful unless you're copying huge file sizes, individual files, not a bunch of small files. When you're doing smaller files, the CPU actually gets bottlenecked, and now the hard drive's waiting, the NVMe drive is waiting on the CPU for instructions. So it's not necessarily the most efficient way, but they are blazing fast. It's just the CPU architecture hasn't quite caught up to that yet. All right, and here we have the keyboard and everything else. On the inside, you also have your orange Republic of Gamers logo, orange surround around the trackpad. I have the keyboard set to orange because why not? There's enough orange on it. Orange is my favorite color. Come on, you gotta do that, right? Now, one of the things I really like about this laptop is actually this keyboard. This keyboard is very nice. The keys have a nice long travel with the tactile feedback. They're not completely lifeless like you have on some keyboards, and the keyboard spacing is really nice. The only thing I can fault it on, and it's just a small thing, the Republic of Gamers key up here in the corner is right in this vicinity by your delete backspace. So if you use delete and backspace, that tends to be a little bit of a pain in the butt. You do end up hitting it. I'm sure we can disable it, but you know, whatever. We'll just let it keep going. On the top here, you have all your standard function keys. So you're starting, you've got sleep, airplane, keyboard brightness up, down, display brightness up, down, display off, projector mode, trackpad off, volume mute, volume up and down, power button, again, all the way on the right, and a shortcut for calculator, which is kind of par for the course. Most laptops have that these days. The trackpad on this laptop is also really nice. I do believe this is using standard Microsoft-based drivers, so you're not going to have any weird third-party glitches, things like that. Trackpad's super responsive, very, very fluid motion. I really, really, really do like this laptop. The display is also very good, as I said. I did a color monkey calibration, and the before and after is a small difference, but a very noticeable difference, specifically in the darker tones. A lot of times with these factory displays, the manufacturer will bump the contrast to make it look more punchy, and you do lose out on a lot of shadow details. So in this, it's nice that they actually didn't go too overboard with that from the factory. Now, as I said, there are 4 zones, and this will give you a pretty good idea of what the 4 zones look like. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. You cannot individually assign individual keys and colors, so you are stuck with zone lighting, which isn't a bad thing. Personally, I won't fault the laptop for that. Now, heat management is another area to consider for a laptop, and how well it does with heat. I'm proud to say that this manages its heat from its GPU and CPU very well. All of the heat comes out here on the side. Exhaust out the left, your power adapter's over here. You've got 2 USBs, mini display port, and HDMI as well, and then on the other side you have 1 USB. But all the heat comes out this side, so it's away from your mouse side. Now, I've heard a lot of people say that they dislike that the USB is on this side over here. Personally, 10 seconds of messing around with it, you've already adapted. Who gives a rip? It works just fine. The temperatures on here are pretty standard. You're not going to see super low temps right now. We're at 35 now. I know this compared to my 2675QM in my Samsung, this runs much cooler. Now, those older architecture i7s run very hot. I mean, those things will run at 90C all day long. So during my testing to see how well this thing performs compared to what I currently own, I went ahead and did a video render using Adobe Premiere CC 2017. And in that, it's a short beer review video, but I did a side-by-side test on this with its 1050 Ti and on my Samsung, which I did the motherboard replacement in, which has a Radeon graphics card with only 512 dedicated. This did the video output in 10 minutes. The Samsung did it in 18 minutes. So your big bump in performance or productivity is going to be from the GPU if you do any video editing. That's a huge lifesaver, having that CUDA core functionality for rendering versus just using the Mercury playback engine.
What's going on, everybody? This is Editing Chris here. I didn't include a lot of benchmarking in the original cut of this video, so we're going to go over that now. First up, we're going to go with Overwatch. So here we are in Overwatch. You can see in the top left-hand corner I've got the metrics running. All the settings are the optimized settings for this graphics card in the GeForce experience. I didn't notice any hiccups, any sluggishness, anything like that. Gameplay's perfectly fine. Here's some specs to go ahead and take a look at for the min-max. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and take a look at Ghost Recon. Now you'll notice that this game doesn't run super smoothly, and that's okay. It's still perfectly playable. Again, we're using the recommended settings in the GeForce experience. Let's go ahead and take a look at the min-max on this here. And lastly, Doom. Now, this is running the Vulkan API, and Vulkan API and OpenGL don't work with min-max, but you can see that this is running perfectly smoothly, constant 60 frames a second with the recommended settings from the GeForce experience.
Now, I do really like this finish. This black finish with the red, or with the orange color accents, is very striking. It's a good looking laptop. It performs great. The thermal management's fantastic. It's a little bit on the chunky side at a little over an inch. They say 0.8 inches. I don't know where they're getting those specs from, but my thumb is about an inch. This sits at about 1.25 inches, 1/16. So it's on the chunkier side as far as mobile devices go. And it weighs probably a good 5 pounds. Just a guess off the cuff, about 5 pounds. But yeah, this laptop's great. All right, that's gonna do it, everybody. This is the review of the GL553V from Asus. It's their Strix series gaming laptop with RGB backlit keyboard, full HD display, 1050 Ti, and a bunch of other goodies. If you found this video useful, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Tell me what you didn't like, and I'll do my best to provide better content. As always, this is Chris. I'll see you guys around. Take care.